Hey guys, thanks for joining in today. In today's video, we are interviewing Jack, who is a young athlete who had a bowel resection for Crohn's disease about 10 days ago. Jack's received a new colostomy and would like to ask me some questions pertaining to how to care for it, lifestyle changes, and diet modifications. I'm going to do my best to answer his questions and help him out, and I'll be doing so with some current evidence and recent literature. So this is our ostomy patient, Jack. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for answering some of mine and my girlfriend's questions and helping me understand everything that's been going on. It's just been so really hectic.
Yeah, of course, I can imagine. I'm happy to help as best as I can. So how are you feeling now that it's been about 10 days since your procedure?
I'm feeling a little bit better.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear it. Sounds like your recovery is right on track.
I'm glad.
Yeah, why don't we get right into it? All right, so why don't we get started? Is there any burning questions that you've been wanting to ask me?
Well, I mean, it's kind of embarrassing considering I've had the disease for a little bit now, for about 2 weeks, and I just want you, if you don't mind, explaining the pathology of the Crohn's disease a little bit more. I was in the car with my girlfriend Vanessa today, and while she was asking me about it and how it works, I just drew pink and...
You know what? Totally fair. It's pretty tricky to wrap your head around, but I'd love to help you out as best as I can. Crohn's disease, pretty much, it's an inflammatory disease of the gastrointestinal tract, or in better words, your stomach. And the normal bacteria in your gut becomes altered, which then leads to your immune response going all out of whack and attacking pretty much anything that enters your stomach, like a harmless virus, bacteria, or even food. This causes people to present with abdominal pain, lots of diarrhea, weight loss, and extreme fatigue. Pretty unpleasant stuff, I know. Does that make sense to you?
Definitely. Wow, I'm sorry Jack had to go through that.
You can say that again. Well, in terms of the whole colostomy process, do you have any questions in regards to that at all?
Well, I feel like I had a pretty good understanding of the pathology and such, but I just feel as though Vanessa, my girlfriend, had a bit of trouble because of all the medical jargon that the surgeon was using while we were together, and he was explaining the procedure and such to me.
Right.
Yeah, I had no idea what she was saying.
Yes. I mean, that's a completely common occurrence when healthcare providers are speaking about surgeries or really anything medical related. To explain it to you, a colostomy is simply a surgical procedure in which the end of the colon, otherwise known as the intestine, is brought through a stoma, which is a small incision in the abdominal wall that creates an opening for feces to be eliminated into the external environment and collected into a little bag that's hanging off of your abdomen. Do you need anything that I should clarify about what I just said?
No, that makes total sense.
Fantastic. So I know you had some questions in terms of how to care for your ostomy bag. Was there anything you'd like to ask about that?
Just in general, I just need a little reminder. How do I care for my ostomy bag?
Great. Well, it's important to know certain things when you're starting to care for it. The first thing that you should always be aware of is that you need to wash your hands before and after you change or empty the pouch. This can help prevent the risk of infections for yourself and for anyone else around you.
And I have another question. Where do I empty my bag?
You don't want to wait for it to be full, like I said before, but most people change it about once or twice a week. It's best to change it early in the morning before there's too much output, and a lot of people also find it easier to change the system in the bathroom so you can flush the material down the toilet, obviously, and then wash the bag with running water. But we can go all over the actual steps later on if that will give you a little bit more clarification.
Thank you very much.
Great.
What if I get the bag wet in the shower? Will that be fine?
Yeah, that's not a big deal at all. I mean, depending on the type of the bag that you have, it won't get damaged from water whatsoever. So feel free to shower with the system on or off, truly whatever you're comfortable with.
Will the bag have an odor? I know he was worried about that.
I mean, if you're following proper nutrition guidelines and hygiene, the bag should not create any smell whatsoever. But if you are worried about smells, there's plenty of different types of sprays, almost like a deodorant that you can use, and that's just going to neutralize the smell completely. All right, so here we're just going to show a video of how to properly change a colostomy bag.
I generally empty my ileostomy bag when it's about a third to a half full, and I do it about 6 to 8 times a day. But how many times you need to empty your ostomy bag depends on what type of ostomy you have and also what you eat and drink in a day. So the first thing that I do is I take some toilet paper and I place it in the bowl, but also over the side, so hopefully the toilet paper will prevent some splashing. Next, there are a couple different positions that you can choose to take to empty the pouch. Some people like to stand. The advantages of this are that you don't have to take your pants down. If you're a man, you're already in that position if you need to go to the bathroom. People also sometimes kneel. This is something that maybe you don't want to do in a public restroom if you find it kind of gross. People do also sit the opposite way on the toilet and empty into the bowl. And lastly, just normal sitting down. And no matter what position you're in, emptying the ostomy pouch is the same. So it's important to note that we're using water in substitute for any output or stool that would usually be in the pouch, so it's more liquidy than it usually would be. So what you want to do is unroll the pouch, but I like to keep the outlet facing up first. When I know where I want to aim it, I open the outlet up, aim into the bowl, empty the pouch. There was very little splashing. Make sure that everything's out. I then take some toilet paper. I generally just crumple it up, put it inside the outlet, and just get everything clean. Get all the residue outside of the outlet of the pouch. Pop that in the toilet. Smooth out any of the air. Low profile as possible. So some people like to use a lubricating deodorant, so the next time that we empty our ostomy pouch, it is easier. Aim your outlet up and you just put it in. Once you're done, you throw this away and you just kind of work the lubricating deodorant up towards the top of your pouch so that it lubricates the whole inside of the ostomy pouch. Then whether you have a clip or a self-fastening system, you just want to roll it back up. Make sure that your ostomy pouch is secure and that it won't leak. I tuck it into my pants, flush the toilet, and go about my day.
What kind of I understand that complications are very common with an ostomy bag, and I was just wondering, what are some type of complications that might ensue with my ostomy bag?
Right, yeah, great question. I think one of the biggest things that you should be looking out for is the color of the stoma itself. You really want to make sure that it's a dark red color, and if it's really anything other than that, like blue or black or yellow, anything that's out of the like normal just red, it could indicate that there's ischemia or any other health issue, and that could definitely be a medical emergency. So really good practice. Every time you're changing the bag, just take a look, see what color it is, go from there.
Thank you very much. Thank you for helping me understand. Is there anything else that I should take note of?
Yeah, I think as well, kind of in a similar sense, you can make sure that the smell isn't off at all. There may be like pus or discharge present, so just if you do kind of smell anything a little bit strange, I would give your doctor a call and just they can give you a look and give you some antibiotics if needed. It's also important when changing your bag to note the color and consistency of your feces. This can help indicate any issues, and it will help you choose foods that may be easier on your stomach and intestines. If you were ever unsure of anything regarding your stoma, or if one day something doesn't feel right, never be scared to call your doctor or nurse and we'll get it checked out for you. There's no need to fear anything going wrong, but it is good to know about different complications that may arise.
Nurse, as you know, I'm a runner, so not being physically active, during this recovery process really affected me both physically and mentally. And I was just wondering if I could get any more information regarding exercising, if I can even get back to exercising in general, or will my ostomy bag get in the way of that?
Right. I mean, this is obviously a really common question to ask, and I can imagine you'd be pretty bummed that you're not out running right now, but what kind of physical movements do you feel you can do independently at the moment?
Well, currently I'm able to ambulate myself properly. After 2 weeks, I'm able to go to the bathroom by myself. However, I am still easily fatigued.
Right. And again, that is common, but are you experiencing pain when you're walking or performing really any kind of movement?
I'm gonna have to say no.
That's good. Okay, then how long has it been since you were able to become less dependent since your surgery?
I've been relying less on Vanessa in the past week, I would say.
Oh, that's fantastic. I understand that physical activity is a huge part of your life since you are an athlete, but having an ostomy bag does not have to change your lifestyle at all. I mean, if you just give it the proper amount of time, you make sure that you're keeping up with like cleaning and exercise, then you're going to be back to it in no time. It's good that you're able to emulate yourself well and have an overall goal of returning back to activity, as it can prevent major cardiovascular issues. However, studies have shown that it's best to start slow and avoid heavy lifting, or at least 12 weeks if you're a bodybuilder. I can refer you to our in-house colorectal specialist for more information. Focus on starting slow, as I mentioned. Start off by taking a 30-minute walk per day and work your way up. I also highly suggest Pilates and yoga. This will build core strength and decrease the stomach pain. With an increase of intensity with exercise, I highly recommend wearing a support band such as a Brava belt. This can be worn around the stoma and can protect it during exercise, preventing hernia.
Thank you, nurse. Thank you so much for understanding me that having a stoma does not mean I have to completely alter my lifestyle.
Of course.
Nurse, I understand a diet limitation that I have to, cope with because of the Crohn's disease that I have, but now that I have my ostomy bag, will this alter? Is there going to be additional changes or alterations with my current diet?
Right. Well, how long has it been since the colostomy?
About 2 weeks.
Okay. And have you consulted with your doctor regarding the healing and return of bowel functions?
Yes. And currently returning. Bowel functions have returned. However, I haven't eaten anything much in case I might, eat something that might trigger my Crohn's disease or cause problems with my ostomy bag.
Right, of course. I mean, if that's the case, you can pretty much return to normal Crohn's diet. It might be a good idea to avoid these following foods just to make sure that it's easier for ostomy management in terms of gas, overfiltration, and odor. So in terms of your Crohn's disease, it's important to manage it and prevent inflammatory bowel disease remission. As you know, your diet is extremely important in terms of management and triggering such symptoms. Focus on whole foods, whole fruits and vegetables, fish and poultry, while avoiding red meat, pork, lamb, and other processed meats or other sugary processed foods.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Hey Vanessa, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. I'm concerned about Jack. He seems very concerned about his ostomy. He has shown signs of depression, anxiety, and poor body image. I can tell that he's been embarrassed and withdrawn, and our sexual relationship hasn't been the same. It also does not help the fact that his cessation of physical activity, which has been his life, has been greatly affected.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really sorry to hear that, but I can reassure you hopefully in that this is a very normal process for people to be dealing with after such a major surgery and major lifestyle change. Well, just to start off, how long has he been showing signs of distress? And could you possibly give me an explanation of what they seem to be like?
Yeah, so the moment he heard about the necessity to obtain the ostomy bag, the idea of having to adjust and significantly stunned him. It is obvious that he is embarrassed by it, self-conscious, and he constantly tries to hide it even from me.
Yeah, and again, it is a very normal reaction to have such a big change on your body, especially when it's with your girlfriend, right? Because he probably cares about what you think of him. But do you feel like anything, like any of your support that you're giving him has helped in the process of transitioning at all?
2 weeks after the surgery, it's only really gotten worse. The responsibility and fear of self-care has clearly affected him, and I can tell he hasn't really been himself, and he's having a hard time adjusting. But I want to help, but I don't want to make it worse.
Right, of course. I mean, and again, that all makes complete sense. Before the surgery, were you two sexually active?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. Well, studies have shown that signs of distress is normal, especially fresh out of surgery. While he agreed to the surgery, he is going to feel sort of anxiety due to the major change that has happened, almost as though his entire body is reconstructed. Not only do they lose a part of their body in a segment of the colon, but also gain a new part. This change and lack of normalcy will lead to a major shift in body image, routine, and trust, which clearly Jack's experiencing with you. It's imperative that he comes in for additional information to learn more about the ostomy, its importance and care. People are most scared when they are faced in a situation where they lack knowledge. With an increased body of knowledge in terms of care, its function, and so on, he'll be more confident rather than fearful. Our goal is to ensure that he's part of the management, create realistic goals, and move towards aligning and normalizing this change with normalcy. As a loved one, some of the things that you should really be focusing on and towards caring for Jack are to be open, have constant support, attention, and care. You should really practice normalizing the idea of the ostomy, and a way that you could do it would possibly even offer to help care for it. And another thing that you should reassure him about is that the ostomy should not be changing how you feel about him or your relationship with each other. So another thing is just you should understand that recovering and aligning oneself will take time, and you should be patient with him because this is a big change for him in his life and for you as well. And multiple studies have shown that the family, friends, and loved ones are a huge factor for psychosocial recovery. So you should really make sure that he knows you're open to talk and just listen to his feelings and what he's kind of going through, just to really be there for him in this time of processing and transition. Communication is really key in establishing body image and intimacy, like you said.